The Elite Eight is set in GHSA's 100th tournament. I'm Cory McCartney, along with RYZE Hoops, Dan McDonald, and Carter Wilson, as we take our rewind fast forward along for the march to Macon. Dan, Carter, good to have you as always.
It's good to be back.
Guys, as we look back at these first two rounds, let's talk about the biggest storylines. Dan, what has your attention so far?
Yes, something I noticed in all three games I watched this weekend was that all the first halves were competitive. And then the second half, you had guys like Bruce Thornton from Milton kind of separate Milton from Archer in the second half, and they ended up winning big. Pace Academy was tied up with Banks County at halftime, and then Matthew Cleveland took over, and they won big. Berkmar Cherokee was a little different. It was kind of competitive in the third quarter, and it wasn't one guy for Berkmar that separated it. It was just kind of – they have a really good collection of a five-man starting lineup, and it was just kind of all of them. Malik Ewan inside was great. Jameel Rideout made a bunch of good passes, hit some shots. Jamari Hill and Destin Logan. I mean, all those guys played really well. So I saw a lot of really competitive first halves, and then, the second half kind of got a little bit out of hand just because those teams kind of flexed their muscles a little bit.
Yeah, we know stars in depth can win out. So, Carter, what do you have your eyes on?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of couples in with what Dan was saying. But, I mean, a lot of these teams that are playing well at the right time have the experience and have been there before. They have upperclassmen. I think if you look at 7A specifically, I mean, Berkmar has been there before within the past couple of years. Tift County has been there before in the past couple of years. McEacher and Pebblebrook has a bunch of seniors. North Gwinnett's been there. Milton, even though their guys aren't necessarily seniors, they've been through this before and they know it. I mean, if you go down 6A, Chattahoochee, Wheeler, I mean, all these teams have – they have guys that have experienced this kind of situation and they're coming up big. I think we've kind of seen the same old faces kind of adding to their resume. So, I mean, it's fun to see, and I think experience pays big.
As we fast forward, guys, give me a matchup that you're most excited about. Carter, we'll let you get started on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to 6A, and I'm looking at Richmond Hill and Wheeler. Traveling is never easy. I mean, I would say that a lot of people have Wheeler being one of the favorites to win 6A. But, I mean, this is not going to be easy to go to Richmond Hill and win a game. So I think that's going to be one to look at. Richmond Hill, they have a lot of upperclassmen, like I talked about. And, they kind of go – they don't have necessarily one guy with a ton of size, but they kind of go like 6'4", 6'3", 6'5" across the board. So they have size to match up. So I think it's going to be a fun one where they had a really good season down there and a lot of kind of flying under the radar because it's not an Atlanta team. But I think this could be a really good game.
So not calling the upset. This is just one you got to keep.
No, I'm not calling it, but I think it's going to be a really good game.
All right. What about you, Dan?
Yes, I'm going to stay in 7A and go with North Gwinnett and Pebblebrook. I think that's, two of the best programs in the state the last few years and two teams that have been close. Like I know Pebblebrook's been really, really close. But North Gwinnett, they lost a really tough one last year. I think it was an Elite Eight last year to McEacher and Sharif Cooper and those guys. So it's two programs that have been close, just haven't quite gotten there. They got seniors, and I just think that's going to be it's a really good coaching matchup. I cannot wait for that one. I don't know if it's Tuesday night or Wednesday night, but it's going to be a fun one for sure.
Well, as we already talked about, big players come up in big moments. So as you guys look ahead to this these next set of games, who's going to be making some noise? Dan, who are your sights on?
Yeah, so I think I'm kind of curious to see what Evans does, in particular Rashad King. He's one of the best unsigned seniors in the state. He's had an awesome year out there. They got Centennial coming out to play them out in Augusta, which, as Carter said, traveling out that long of a ways, and especially kind of this year the environments aren't the same because a lot of crowds are limited, but I think that's going to be a really fun one to watch, and I'm really kind of serious. And it's not just that one for Rashad. If they win, they play the winner of the game that Carter just talked about, Richmond Hill and Wheeler. So he's got a chance this week to kind of, establish himself as one of the real guys in the state if he can have a big week and get Evans to a championship.
Carter, I know you've got a couple guys for us.
Yeah, I do. So Chattahoochee had a big comeback in the last round against Buford, and I got to spotlight AJ White. I think at this point we have to consider him to be one of the better postseason players in recent memory. Coming off a state championship last year, he just won't let this team lose. Like he comes up big in the biggest situations. So it's something that I'm going to have my eye on as they take on Lee County. And And then Eagles Landing has a really good sophomore guard in David Thomas. This guy, I think he's one of the next big bucket getters in the state. And, people love guys that can just score it. And I think he's that next guy. So just throughout the rest of the state tournament, he's a guy that I'm going to have an eye on.
Well, great stuff as always, guys. A reminder, you should be getting everything RYZE Hoops by following along on Instagram and Twitter. And make sure you head over to ryzehoops.com as well. Fellas, thanks. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks, Cory.